this is a lesson to all of us, especially we immigrant pharmacists. Pull your ears and listen to me. Listen, if you're an immigrant pharmacist, if you're a pharmacist who's newly qualified and you're just trying to figure your way around, if you're a pharmacist who you just feel like your work environment is not the friendliest, you have to be alert. You have to be meticulous. You have to be very, very, very careful. Hello there, beautiful people. My name is Faith the Pharmacist, if you're new to my channel. And on this channel, we talk about all things pharmacy practice, pharmacy related in the United Kingdom. I make videos like ethical dilemmas, what's in the news, and just bits and bobs from my life and my career as a pharmacist. Today, I am going to be telling you a few interesting things that I've seen in the news that I think are worth listening to. So just grab a cup of tea and sit down and let's get straight into these news articles. So the first thing I'll be sharing with you today is, I'm just looking down at my laptop if you're wondering what I'm looking at. So Boots, and this was so interesting when I saw it because I have actually predicted something like this happening in the near future for the pharmacy profession. Now, what do I mean? Boots pharmacies, which are one of the biggest chain of pharmacies in UK, one of the oldest as well, one of the most popular. Honestly, Boots have a solid name in the UK here. They have decided to close 300 branches. And yeah, if you watched my prediction for pharmacy practice in the UK, you would see where I said that I believe that a lot of big chain pharmacies will be leaving, they will be exiting pharmacy and will be taken over by independent pharmacies. And I don't really know what that poses for us as pharmacists, but it's a bit daunting because the big chain pharmacies really do have really good things that come with being big chain. I'll have to be honest, I was a Boots girl when I qualified. I worked with Boots and I really enjoyed my time at Boots. One of the advantages I found for working at Boots, which is a big chain, is the structured learning that you get in your first few years of qualification, right? You get that, and then you also have this, big integration of different pharmacies in different places who are working as part of this big chain, and everyone gets to meet every so often, and you meet different people from all different walks of life, and it was just really great. And there was always room for progression with Boots, although it didn't quite tie into what I wanted to do with myself. But yeah, Boots really gave me a good kickstart at the beginning of my career. So it's sad to see that some of their branches will be going, because that would mean a lot of things are changing for newly qualified pharmacists getting positions with big chains. For even their current employees, where are they going to go? So I was reading the article and they said that they're doing this because there's some of their stores that are really close together. So you could be on a street and have two Boots stores on the same street. So they're going to consolidate those into one, which they're saying means that they're not going to be making their staff redundant, right? What does this mean? They're not going to be making their staff redundant. They want to send them into the other stores. And then all this money that they would usually spend on maintaining two separate branches, they will pour it into one branch and hopefully make it more efficient. I'll have to be honest, I don't really know how that's going to play out. Because I've worked for a big chain who started off like this and things didn't quite go in the direction that they were saying that it would go. So I would say keep your eyes peeled. If you're a current Boots pharmacist, I personally would either be expecting to be sold off to another company or be planning to go into a different job or a different career. I know it can be quite painful, and you probably imagined yourself, being there for a long time, making waves, which was what I thought I was going to do when I first qualified. I laugh whenever I think about that time. Like, I thought I was going to take over the company. I thought I was going to be, the manager of a region, which is not bad to aspire to. But I learned really early on along the line that being a manager was just not my calling. Well, at least being a manager of a retail business was not my calling. I'm quite good with like handling people, but managing retail, no, a bit much for me. Anyway, so yeah, employees of Boots, I'm not quite sure what your fate is right now, but I would recommend that you either expect to be sold off or you start to prepare a different career route for yourself. And I don't know what this would look like, but I wish you all the very best. What this means now is that the job market might be saturated, because in as much as they've said that they're going to make sure, or in the initial article they said that they're going to be moving their staff into the other branches, they have now said, just going to read this, that it is unlikely that they can avoid redundancy for all staff in closing stores. So I think that should just ring warning alarm bells. Whoever you are, if you work with Boots, you work for Boots, and you're not sure if your store is going to be next, just try and have a plan B. Speak to your manager and find out if there's any plans that have been told to them. A lot of times they usually tell managers things and tell them not to disclose. So sometimes you might not be privy to information, but I would say have a backup plan, because the reality is that we're in a cost of living crisis and you don't want to be left without a job for a long time. So start to think about what your future is going to be like. And I just don't know what's going to happen in future for pharmacists who are graduating, although there's so many new roles coming into the pharmacy practice. I don't know where community pharmacy is going to sit in the future, but I know it's changing a whole lot. So keep your eyes peeled, stay tuned. If I hear anything new, I'm going to be sure to bring it back to the channel. Please, if you watch my video and you actually like the video, can you please leave a thumbs up, because it helps my visibility. It helps YouTube to, share my videos to other people. It helps YouTube to know that, okay, when people watch this video, they actually, some of them enjoy it, a good percentage. So it helps. So let's dive into the next agenda on our list today. In Midlands, and this one is for my OSPAP candidates or prospective OSPAP candidates, OSPAP students, people who want to transition their career from being overseas pharmacists to being pharmacists in the UK. And I'm going to be reading this. In Midlands University boosts overseas pharmacist courses placed by 75% amid huge demand. So they have increased the number of students that they're taking, and this looked really good until I read a bit further, right? So they have now revealed that this is 75% for the 2023-2024 intake, so people who are entering, who will be getting onto the course this year. Unfortunately, they are no longer taking any applications, because obviously they already have a massive spike of applications. My question is, Kingston University said that they were looking at reopening their OSPAP place because they had closed it before, and they've not given us any updates. I'll probably email them and see if I can get any more information, because I know there's lots of you who are on this waiting list to just get into a university to convert your practice. So if I hear anything back from Kingston University, I will let you guys know. But this is good news. I say that because in as much as they're not taking any more applications, it might mean that in subsequent years they will be willing to take on more people, as they have now done, because I know the average number of people in the course for each university is about 70. So if they've increased that, so they're probably somewhere in the hundreds, which is a good number, and obviously will give more people a chance in the future. So just keep your eyes peeled, and if you're applying, keep your eyes peeled for when Aston University, that's the name of the university, Aston University opens up its application places, because Midlands is quite cheap to live in. Not too cheap, but relatively cheap. You don't want to go live in London. That's a whole different ball game. I know people who have been to Aston University, and it was a good school. So yeah, hopefully this was some news for OSPAP students. I know it doesn't give you much to work with right now, but hopefully we'll hear more in the future. And the last thing I want to talk about is this issue of pharmacists getting suspended. So we have just had another news article that this pharmacist is getting a 4-month suspension over codeine payment mix-up. Now, you know my stance if you watch my last video on, punishment for things like this. I think it's okay, right? Now, I'm not going to judge anybody because I don't know exactly what happened. He claimed to have been stressed and overwhelmed at home. I'm just going to read a little bit of it so that you guys can get a bit of a backstory before I go into it. So the headline says, overwhelmed locum suspended for 4 months over codeine payment mix-up. A local pharmacist has been suspended for 4 months for removing bottles of codeine linctus from 2 pharmacies where he was working without paying for them. So they said his name and his reg number, which I'm pleased to see, because when I read the last one, I'm not sure if you guys saw that, I was not sure why they were putting the names and reg numbers out. But hey ho, they've probably just grabbed another scapegoat and put them on blast. This pharmacist had ordered codeine linctus from 2 different pharmacies. Apparently 4 were delivered to each pharmacy, and he didn't pay for any of them. And if you know the UK, you know how they are with codeine. Codeine is a drug that can easily be abused. So everyone's going to just raise eyebrows if you're ordering codeine at different pharmacies and not paying for them, because that just does not look right. And the truth is that it wasn't actually that expensive. So he claimed that there was a lot going on at home, and all he did was forget to pay, that he actually thought that he had paid. At both pharmacies, he asked for permission from pharmacy staff to order the codeine and did not place the orders himself. And he's using this codeine to treat a family member who was unwell. So he'd asked to order 2 bottles in accordance with his account, although an invoice showed that 4 bottles had been ordered. Although he had asked for 2 bottles, he said that the package, which he only opened later, contained 4 bottles, which he administered over 2 weeks. So a witness said that he had asked to order 6 bottles in one pharmacy and 2 bottles in another pharmacy, but both had invoices stating that 4 bottles were delivered. So he thought he had put money into the tills, but due to COVID-19 at the time, he did not do it in the presence of his colleagues. Now, that's a red flag. You want to be careful. And what I'm noticing now, this is the second time I'm reading a news about someone getting suspended. These people are immigrants. These people are immigrants. And as immigrants in a foreign country, you got to be careful. This is another thing. His colleagues that he worked with didn't remind him to make the payment. They never called him up to say, oh, you didn't pay for the codeine, can you pay for it now? You know, just giving him the benefit of the doubt, assuming that he had forgotten. He never heard about this incident or about the fact that perhaps he hadn't paid for this. I don't know if he did it intentionally or not. He never heard of it until the case had reached the GPHC. Now, I think that was really malicious, because I don't know why you wouldn't give someone the benefit of the doubt. If it was a case of it happened, you told him, oh, you forgot to pay for this, and he just evaded completely and never came back, then I can understand. But in this situation, I think that these people that he works with, I don't know if it's the same company, because it was two different pharmacies. I think it might have been the same company because they're passing information to each other. I just don't think they were kind to him. And even if he had done it maliciously, I think maybe he could have been given a little bit of a chance to potentially, you know, right his wrongs. Now, on his part, he ordered 2 bottles, got home and saw 4 bottles. How, in that instance, did you not think to ring the pharmacy or speak to them the next day and say, look, oh, this is more than I ordered. Do you want me to bring 2 back, or do you want me to pay for the excess? Assuming you imagine that you had already paid for it. So I don't know what he was thinking, what he was going through at home. Clearly, he had a family member that was unwell. So maybe that was, you know, giving him a lot of mental and emotional stress. I'm imagining that that's probably the case, which is why he probably would have forgotten to pay for the codeine. But like I said, they never reminded him until this case got to the GPHC. Why? That I just think is pure evil. That's mean. Honestly, I don't know if he did it maliciously. Again, he has gotten his 4-month suspension now, and I think that's fair. So next time he will think before, you know, taking certain actions. But I just think those colleagues, whoever it was that he was working with in those 2 branches, were quite unfair to him. So all this to say, we're looking at this from a different angle. So the other lady I spoke about, who, you know, was suspended for working 2 jobs at the same time without informing her employers and lying about things, I definitely think she should have, you know, done things better. Now, in as much as I think he should have done something better, I feel like his employers or whoever it was he was working with could have been fairer. And this is a lesson to all of us, especially we immigrant pharmacists. Pull your ears and listen to me. Listen, if you're an immigrant pharmacist If you're a pharmacist who's newly qualified and you're just trying to figure your way around, if you're a pharmacist who you just feel like your work environment is not the friendliest, you have to be alert. You have to be meticulous. You have to be very, very, very careful. If you're going to do anything at the till, make sure someone's watching. Make sure you have someone witnessing. If you're doing anything with money or with, I would personally, if I see someone doing things or taking money out of the till, I'll report them. However, in this case, they never gave him a chance. And this is the reality of being an immigrant in certain countries. I'll have to be honest, I haven't experienced something as malicious as this. However, I know that people have really ill intent in their hearts sometimes, especially when they see you as an immigrant, like you have come into their country to take their jobs, which is what half the people walking around probably think about you, but they're not saying it out loud. A lot of immigrants are working in healthcare now, and a lot of people are not happy with that. So in this situation, in as much as people smile with you every day, not everyone is your friend. You need to make sure you watch out for yourself. Make sure you keep accurate records of things. Make sure that if you're going to do anything like in his case, I will have my money right there on the, I will pay for it before the item even arrives. I will make sure someone signs off that I've paid for it, because you don't want to find yourself in a pickle. Now this is going to go on his records, and God knows what's going to happen after this. And anything that comes up in future that looks on that remotely looks dishonest, they're going to track back to this and be like, well, he has a record of dishonesty anyways. And honestly, he says there's a lot going on in his family or home. Bless him, adding this to his stress is a lot. If he has done this intentionally, well then he deserves whatever he's getting. But I just see a pure case of unfairness from the people who went to report him without pulling him up on it. Fine, I understand it happened in 2 different pharmacies, and I'm grateful that the GPHC actually says that there was no proof that he was intentionally dishonest. Well, quote unquote, they said he had very significant family matters pressing on his mind that could explain why he had not paid for the codeine bottles and was unsure whether he had, as well as the fact that he had not slept the night before and had not had breakfast. It is also considered that it was unlikely he would have intended not to pay for the products he ordered, given that he asked for permission to order them and the cost involved was so small. It was found that he breached professional standards, so this was the main reason why he got the suspension. He breached professional standards, requiring that pharmacists should say sorry, provide an explanation, and put things right when they go wrong by not speaking up and clarifying the situation. So no one mentioned anything to him, but they expected that when he gets home and sees 4 bottles in the box rather than 2, he should have, contacted the pharmacy and said, you know what, I found 4 bottles and I only ordered 2. I only asked to order 2. At that point, he noticed that something was off, but he never mentioned it. And integrity is one of the core ethics of being a pharmacy professional, or even a healthcare professional at the very least. So yeah, so I think 4 months is not too bad, little bit justified. But I think whoever it was that did this to him and set him up and went to report him, are unfair, very unfair. So anyone who's watching this, if you're in an environment where you feel like people don't really like you, watch your back and do everything, with extra eyes on you. Make sure you have witnesses, make sure you have records, make sure you have reports. Make sure you do everything, making sure that your back is covered and you look out for yourself, because I have to tell you, nobody's got you like you have got you out here in this professional streets. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have any advice for this gentleman or whoever might be in a similar peculiar situation, please leave them in the comment section below. If you've got any ethical dilemmas that you would like me to discuss on this channel, can you kindly send them to my email address, which will be on the screen, and I would hopefully be able to get onto your dilemma and discuss it on the channel and hopefully give you some advice as to how to tackle it. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I have to say, you guys need to make sure, please, if you watch my video and you actually like the video, can you please leave a thumbs up, because it helps my visibility. It helps YouTube to share my videos to other people. It helps YouTube to know that, okay, when people watch this video, they actually, some of them enjoy it, a good percentage. So it helps. Thank you guys so much for sticking around, for liking my videos as usual, for commenting, for everything, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.